Welcome back to Inspired Life Virtual Retreat, Soulful Purpose. I am so pleased to be joined here today with Pam Perry. She is a publicist strategist and also the publisher of Speaker Magazine. And I am just so thrilled that you can join us today and how, really connecting with our soulful purpose can really change and uplift our lives. And I'd love to just open the session with taking a couple breaths together and just like grounding in, getting present.
Okay.
Okay. I'd just like to take a moment and invite you all to just, really set your own personal intention for our time together so that you're really able to get the nuggets and the wisdom from our session together that you can really apply to your own personal life and experience. And I also just want to thank you all for taking this time and really having this intention to focus on what your soulful purpose is and how you can live that. And we know that when we step into that in our own lives, it really encourages and inspires other people to also have that courage to step into it in their own lives. And that kind of has a ripple effect through our families and our friends and out into our communities. So with that, Pam, would you share with us a bit about your work, please?
Yes. Thank you so much, Maggie, for having me today. So I really appreciate it.
My
So
pleasure.
soulful work. So my company name is Ministry Marketing Solutions. Been doing that for about 20 years. And it came about because I had a passion, a calling, a skill, just a journalism background and public relations career that I wanted to use in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been working in secular media, worked at the Detroit Free Press, worked at various advertising agencies, public relations agencies, and doing work for really good companies. I mean, I worked on a lot of automotive companies, worked on McDonald's, worked on Dunkin' Donuts, I worked on just a lot, but I didn't find joy. Well, how to say this? The joy began to leave me. And
Oh,
all of a sudden
mm-hmm.
I was feeling like empty. I was like, ugh, I can't do this anymore. Who cares about automotive? Who cares about cars and hamburgers and whatever? And and then finally one day, I mean, when I literally was like, I find no joy in the work anymore of promoting these type of products, I said, well, what do I really, really enjoy? And I looked around my own home and I said, I love books. I love books,
Oh,
right? So I love books. And this happens to be one of my clients here. So it's just a love period. So this particular book was just like books changed my life, right? So
yeah.
inspiring books changed my life. Christian books changed my life. And I said, I really want to take all of my skills, all of my talents, and I want to promote books. I want to promote books. And that's what I did. And what type of books? Ministry Marketing Solutions was born from that. So one of my first clients was an author who was also a speaker, who was also a pastor. And we were promoting him using the same process that I do for all the other things, writing a press release, pitching him to the media, giving him media coaching, showing them how to brand himself. And that's really where it started because I really wanted to use my educational skills or my career skills to do something meaningful. And I felt books
Yeah.
change people's lives. They really do.
Yeah.
That was 20 years
Beautiful.
ago. That
Beautiful.
was 20 years ago. So that was in 2000.
Yeah. And so, okay, let's get right in, Pam, because I am so curious. Like, can you walk us through a little bit of what did that transition look like from, this more corporate job to really going out on a limb, working for yourself, doing your passion? Like,
It was a mess.
I know it was 20 years ago, but like, what does some of that mental dialogue look like? Can you kind of,
It came to the point where I had no joy in my job,
right?
and I knew I wanted to do something. And I started volunteering a lot for organizations. And I found
Mhm.
that at 5 o'clock, I would leave work, and then I would be so happy. And then I would run to this volunteer job that I just got joy from.
Mm.
And I spent hours and hours on that. And I started volunteering. I volunteered with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I started really doing more work at the church and saying, well, this is the type of things that you can do. And I just really started giving my time away. And then
Yeah.
eventually someone said, why don't you look at this type of job as a type of career that you may want to look at? And I said, what is this? Fundraising for what? For this nonprofit. I'm like, nonprofit? So I'm working for a nonprofit. So, well, you really would be good at doing fundraising for this nonprofit. Well, it ended up being like I was not only the fundraiser, but the development director. I ended up being the database person, the newsletter. I mean, I
Why
did
don't you take
everything.
over the nonprofit?
Oh my God, I was doing everything. And so then finally, at a certain point in time, I said, okay, what is a part of this whole thing that I really enjoy? And it was the public relations part of it, really promoting and really
Mhm.
making sure when my client at that point was getting, being written up in the newspaper and magazines, and they were winning awards. They won a Point of Light award, I remember, from George Bush, and that was really exciting. And that made it have so that more people were actually aware of them and gave them more money. But I didn't like the other part of it, the
Mhm.
administrative part. I just like the creative part. And so I then decided that I wanted to go work in PR. So I worked for the Salvation Army for 7 years, and that
Mhm.
felt good. The keyword salvation. So they were doing nonprofit work, and they were doing a lot of stuff for hurricanes, tornadoes, and people on drugs. I mean, just really good work. But then I got married and I had a baby, and I didn't want to go to office anymore. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to go.
Mhm.
And so I said, I'd liked this work, but I want to do it from, at that point, it was really hard. I want to do it from home.
Yeah.
And it was like, you want to do work from home? Who does that? And
Yeah.
so working from home, doing ministry marketing, since I had no clients. I just had an idea, and I had
Mhm.
no mentors. And I remember one day literally running into someone, and they asked me what was I doing, and I basically said that I like to work with ministries, helping them promote. I said, because I have to decide whether I want to go back to the Salvation Army or not, and I really don't. And he says, really? He says, well, why don't you da 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 da? And then he became my first client, and it was actually, he was a minister. He was putting on a gospel play, and the gospel play got big publicity, filled up everything, the auditorium, and and that actually became my first client. And then from there, we started doing other things and working with other churches and mega churches in the area, and it grew from there. But it just started with a dissatisfaction deep down, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. Yeah.
And kind of like getting your toe in it, right, with the nonprofit. And
Right.
so, like, you didn't really jump in, but you just kind of like gravitated towards things
Hmm.
that felt better to you, it
Right.
sounds like,
Exactly.
right? And then you ended up in this more, well, now like a completely aligned business.
Yeah.
That's your business that feels good to your soul,
Yeah.
and really doing the work that you feel called to do in the world, which is like to lift other people up and give them visibility so that they
Hmm.
can inspire people, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. From time to time, people will say, well, can you work on this type of, like I got a call the other day, and they said, well, can you work on this particular project? And I said, no. And they said, well, you
Yeah.
could do it. I said, I know I can. I said, but I just don't feel right of doing that particular work. Because when
Mm-hmm.
you're promoting something, you're putting all your energy, all your heart, you're leveraging all your relationships for that one particular project or program. And I said, I just didn't want to do that because it's like you've got to really love it. And so what I realized, I said, what I really love is that I have to believe in the message of the person who is I'm promoting. And that's it. I got to
Yeah.
believe in their message and they have to believe in it too. So
Yeah.
they've got to believe in it and then I believe in it.
No, it's so true. And I know because in my business, when I'm hiring people, and right now I'm working with a lot of different freelancers, and it's like I can tell when someone gets my message and it's like it's like jazzing them up, fueling them, and they're like excited and they want to hear more versus the person who's just kind of like immediate, like, so how can I help you? Do you know what I mean? And you're kind
Mhm.
of like, I
Mm,
don't think that this is a good fit,
right, right, right.
because ultimately I mean, you know this, you have to kind of adopt their message as your own,
Yeah,
like put it on, try it on, right? Because you're the one out there spreading it around, you know?
exactly. That
And
is so
so,
true. It's almost like I become their eyes and their ears to the media, to wherever they need to go. I become their eyes and ears, their feet on the ground. And so they are really the creator. They created their book, they created their message, that whatever, they are the creator. And then it's my job to really take what they created and spread it out as far as it can
mhm,
possibly go. So I have to understand their message. They have to be sold to their message, and then I sell the message out to the
yeah. And
masses.
so it has to ring true for you,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so, okay, let's start with, what is your kind of idea of what a soulful purpose is?
It was kind of like what you said earlier, Maggie. It's an alignment. You really
Yeah.
understand an alignment, and you feel um, that you can wake up in the morning and you're excited, and you know that this is what you're here for. No one else can really do it better because it's what your calling is. It can be a million publicists out there, and there are a million other publicists, but I know for a fact that I'm called to do the type of work that I'm called to do because I have such a passion for it. And I would
Mm-hmm.
do it. And people always used to say, well, what do you have a passion for? What would you do for free if no one paid you? Okay. So my volunteer work was my clue. That was
Mm-hmm.
my clue that I was doing this type of work as a volunteer. That was it. And it's like what you love to do. It's your calling.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so I'm curious, like, what do you think from stepping into this, from stepping into your purpose? That's, your soulful purpose. What do you think the most profound gift this has really given you and your life?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, I really felt like a call to work from home with my daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
very important. And that was a value. Now, obviously, when I was single, no kids, I had different values. So then when I had my daughter, it was like, I want to do the work that I enjoy in my career that I love, but I also want to be present and have the flexibility of working from home so I can be there for my daughter. Now she still went to daycare because it was like, I wasn't playing with her all day, but
Yeah.
I did, so that was one of the main things. So then from there, working and doing that, I had the career, so, work from home. So I'm a working mother. So my daughter grows up to feel that same type of thing, that she
Mm-hmm.
wants to have a full, complete, balanced life. And I think I showed her that. She said she's working. She graduated from college. She works in digital marketing, and she has other goals and dreams and ambitions, and she wants to have a family. I mean, so she played out what she saw, which I think if I had really hated my job, if I had really, not enjoyed being a mom. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like now she has goals that really,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what a profound gift to be a role model for living an inspired life to your daughter,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that, and the courage that takes, right?
Right.
Because in our society, so often we're just kind of, put through this series of testing and finding what our aptitudes are, right? What we excel at. But we're not really given the guidance in like, how do we take those aptitudes and really sculpt it into something that we're passionate about, right?
Right.
It's like just taking those aptitudes and seeing who will give you the most money per hour for it, but maybe it doesn't really light you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is bringing me back to your story, because it's like, obviously you have an aptitude for marketing, for PR, for things like this, but originally you started off doing it in more of a corporate setting for companies in a very, I'm going to say like generic kind of, right?
Anything. Yeah, parts, hamburgers, any type of thing, promoting anything. I mean, anybody who needed a press release. Okay, we'll do that too. We'll do that too. And you could do it. You could write the press release and pitch it, but it's not like you really care. The only time that I remember really getting a clue about this was when the nonprofit arm of the corporation would say, can we have someone do some PR for that? And that would light me up. So McDonald's has a nonprofit arm, which is the Ronald McDonald House. And that basically is the Ronald McDonald House, where they pull together a house for the parents of who have children in like a children's hospital. So whenever they said we're going to do a special promotion or special PR around Ronald McDonald's, I would get excited because it was like, I love doing this stuff. But as far as like the food and the, it's just products. So yeah, that was kind of clues that maybe there's something to doing stuff with nonprofit that I really enjoy. It was more heart-centered.
Yeah, and it's making me think also like it was service-based, right?
Yes.
And so there's something, and even now working with kind of like Christian thought leaders, is that accurate? That you're helping with, it's a service because you're giving out uplifting messages to people to help change their lives. And so it still feels service-based. And there's something about that reciprocity, if that makes sense, like when we're doing our purpose and it's of service and it feeds us at a different level than just a paycheck.
Yes,
right?
It does. Exactly.
Yeah.
That it does feed you at a different level. It doesn't matter about the money. You just feel so good that you are in alignment. That's all. Like you really feel like you're in alignment. I remember working with Bishop Jakes, and this was many years ago, and he had a book, and his first book was actually a novel. So he had never written a novel before, and the book actually became like a movie as well. But he had to do a book tour. And I remember working with him and going to the different TV stations and things like that. And he's just such a wise, wonderful human being. And I just said, this is so much fun. I said, I would do this for free, but he was actually paying me. So,
right? Because I'm thinking too, like, not only are you feeling of service, bringing their messages out into the world, but like, this is who you get to hang with.
Yeah, I like them.
Right? And so you're like also absorbing it like through osmosis by just being in their presence.
Yeah,
you know,
you enjoy their energy. You're right. That is it exactly. I love their energy. It was just like, it was fulfilling. It was fun. That was it. That was really it. So the type of clients that you have, you absorb their energy versus having clients where you repel their energy. So yeah, so that was part of it. That was really part of when I really knew that I was in the flow, because I got energized from the work and the client, from their personality. Yeah, that's true.
And so just diving into that a little bit more, like, can you kind of paint a little bit of a picture of like, what did it feel like when you were waking up, going to your corporate job to do PR for, auto manufacturers?
It was, I liked some of the people that I worked with, obviously
Mm-hmm.
that part of it. So it was always like, where are we going to lunch? As soon as we get up, it's like, okay, got to go do this thing. So where we're going to go to lunch, because I liked those people, but I didn't like the work. It was just a grind. It felt like a grind. And you would feel like you had to fill yourself up with other things to make yourself enjoy that job. And for me, it was
Yeah.
like, when can we get together for coffee? When can we, it was just like whatever you had to do to distract yourself from the main thing. Versus, I had a talk the other day with another colleague, PR colleague, and she's been doing her business for 15 years, and I've been doing mine 20. And she says, the one thing that I will say about my business, she says, I love what I do, and my family thinks I'm a workaholic. So remember, I'm working from home. So you can work all the time because you're never leaving it. And I said, I understand. And so we just kind of laugh. And she says, we love what we do. I said, yeah, we do, because we love the work. So her main thing to me was that she says, but it's not like I don't enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. So my family is like, you work all the time. She said, but when you love what you do, it doesn't seem like work.
It's true, right? Because then,
Mhm.
then instead of it draining your energy, you're like, it's just like natural, right?
Mhm.
It's just like the inspiration is coming. You're not having to like pull for it to go to work. It's just like you're getting juiced up by your
Yeah.
work constantly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what does it feel like now when you wake up in the morning and you're like,
I'm excited. I'm excited about what I can make happen for my clients. I'm excited
mhm,
that I can create programs. I can create a podcast. I mean, it's a creative mode because you work for yourself and you have clients that love what you do, but you can also create other programs and products. I get really excited. One of the things that I don't have my daughter at home anymore, right? So I don't have her at home anymore. So, but I do have a little puppy. So this is kind of the thing now. So I work from home, so he's with me all the day as well. So
he could not be cuter, could he?
so he
Yes.
it's one of those things where you have the whole life experience now, and so you can,
Yeah.
well, you get up when you want to get up, but you want to get up because you want to get at it, right? And
Hmm.
so producing the magazine is something that is every single month for Speakers Magazine. And so I enjoy that because there's different things that I have to edit and put together. We start with a blank sheet every single month, and you put together the cover, you put together the stories, and it's all for speakers. It's fees and feature speakers. So primarily, what we're working on right now is the next magazine. It's new every single month, so that's kind of like the fun part. Like, it's like, oh, I enjoy that, and people who are in it, they get it, and they share it out social media. I mean, so it's a good thing. It's like a content rich life. It's a
Hmm.
content rich because it's things that you enjoy. There are some things that you don't enjoy. I mean, like, you know, with things that I don't enjoy, I kind of delegate out. So there are some things, like if I have to fill out certain forms or doing accounting, any tax stuff, I mean, that part you do, but that's just part of the business. So you do have to do those parts. But for the most part, when I get up, I'm very grateful that I get to work with the clients that I enjoy. I get to do the work that I enjoy, and I get to actually share the wealth. So there's people that work with me. They also they're virtual. They can work from home as well. Well, this was even before COVID. So we were working from
Hmm.
home anyway, but they can work from home as well because we do Zooms and that sort of thing. So that kind of is a way that, because I'm doing what I'm doing, they can do what they do as well. It's a good.
Yeah, right. So this kind of goes back to the intro, right? Because it's like you're doing what you're passionate about, and there is a satisfaction in being able to hire people who are
Yeah,
passionate about their part too,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
you're helping to give sustenance and work to them. And
Hmm.
so that's another kind of ripple effect extension of really stepping into your purpose,
Yeah.
right?
There's one particular person that I work with that I know she was working as a legal secretary, and she hated it. She had like 5 kids. She would leave. early in the morning and not see her kids so late. I mean, you know, it was just like, I was like, wouldn't it be nice if she could work from home? So eventually, you know, she said, I think I'm ready. And I hired her.
Yeah.
Said, okay.
So Pam, I'm wondering, like, how do you help other people to find and define their soulful purpose?
I think one of the main things is really having them do a list. A list. What is it that you enjoy? And what is
Mm-hmm.
it that other people tell you that you're good at? I said, so
Mm-hmm.
make a list and look at that. What people say that you're good at and what you enjoy, is that a match? Or how can you monetize that? So if someone
Mm-hmm.
says you're really good at A, B, and C, just go ask 3 people. Go ask someone in your family, someone you work with, and maybe a former colleague or something like that. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
just ask 3 different people from 3 different areas. What are you good at? And then you write down what it is that you love to do and see what that matches. And I had to do that for myself. I said, okay, I loved writing. I love books. I love authors. I love conferences. I love planning conferences. I mean, so I made a list of everything that I enjoyed. And then I asked other people, what did they see that I was good at? And those things that were at the top, those are the things that I said, okay, this is how I can monetize it. Now, I'm good at editing, but do I really want to be an editor? No, that was further down the list. I can do it, but do I want to be an editor full time? No, I don't. I really like the promotion, the marketing, and the PR part of what I do. That's why social was really cool. I love doing social because it changes all the time. Sitting being an editor, you don't really interact with people. Social, you do. Obviously, social media, PR, you know, interact with people. So I would say just really helping people understand and make that list, make those calls, and they will be so surprised. It's like, wow, I never knew people saw me like that. I said, ask 3 people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you took like something that's kind of mainstream, right? Like you took communications, media, that kind of approach, and you were like, okay, I know I want to be social in it. So out goes the editing, right?
Yeah.
And, but then you sculpted it to what you were passionate about, which
Mm-hmm.
was helping these Christian thought leaders to bring their message out into the world, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like getting creative in how you can use these skills. I mean, you're basically doing the same job, right? You're doing the
Yeah.
same job that you were for the car manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
now you're doing it in a way that feels like you're of service and you're in alignment and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, because that's not going to ring true for everyone, right? Like only because it resonates with you so deeply, you're able to take their message and really deliver it in a way that it's appealing for these media outlets to pick them
Right.
up, right?
Exactly. Branding them is really, really important before they even get out to the media. I always say is ready, set, go. Right. So ready, getting you in the ready mode, getting in the set mode, and then go to speak on the stage or speak in the media. So there's different things and stages earlier that I work with them on that they need to really put together and work on. And so I remember, Maggie, one time, this was when my daughter was just first born, and I read a book. Like I said, books change your life, but I read a book, and I believe it's still around. It's called How to Make a Living Without a Job. And I remember reading that book, and that was in like 1990 something, right? Because my daughter's like almost 25. And I read it, and this lady says, well, she did newsletters and she did the things that she loved to do, and she was
Mm-hmm.
getting paid. And
Mm-hmm.
I, at that point in time, I just thought that was such a brilliant thing. I bought that book, and I bought several copies, and I was giving it to other friends that I knew hated their job. I said, think about this. How about you think about this? And they were like, well, you know, I mean, it was like you could take your skills that you have, and this is way before the internet kind of really took place. So you could take your skills that you have and actually package them up, and you have a business. This is making a living without a job. It was on Amazon, and I bought that book, and I was like, oh my God. I said, this is some of the things. So you writing speeches or editing newsletters or promoting programs. I mean, it was so many different, they listed so many different options. It's like, okay, you've got to find a few things I know that can make up your income that from your job that you hate so much. It's like, oh, what about the insurance and this and that? This one, I said, okay, now we're going into a whole nother mode. I said, you're getting into
Mm-hmm.
the fear base. I said, but look at doing what you love and the money will come. Let's go with that premise. Okay. So, but let's define what you love and let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people do that.
And are there certain things on your journey that have really helped you to cultivate more of an awareness, like journaling or different tools like this, that meditation maybe, or different things that have helped you really stay in that alignment?
I love journaling. I've always journaled, probably since a teenager or probably even preteen, but always journaling and writing out, because once you write it out, you're actually putting that energy on paper, and then you're standing back and you're looking at it. So initially I would journal and it would be like poetry, but obviously then I became journaling and I'm actually writing to myself or writing questions to myself. And from the journal, if you write a question, flip over to a couple of pages later, go to sleep, dream, and you've got your answers. I mean, so journaling helps you take it out of your
Mm.
head, clarify it, and then next thing you know, it's like, wow, okay. I just wrote about that the other day, asked myself that question, and in a dream it came. And so I go back from time to time, old journals, and it's like, wow, that came true. Or, this is something that I dreamed about, or this was an idea. And, you know, 6 months later, this is what I'm working with. So I've always journaled, made lists, love lists. Those are the things. And just really, I do it primarily in the morning. I don't really do it at night per se, but it's primarily in the morning when I'm doing the journaling. And then on the weekends, I'm taking these journals and I'm going back through what it is that happened during the week or what conspired. So I would say journaling is the main thing. It's the way I meditate. Sometimes I write out letters to God in the journal as well. Sometimes it's poetry. I haven't had poetry inspiration since I was a teen. But I do listen to music while I am doing the meditation, which is basically, poetry in music form. So those are really the main things, because I think if you journal, you really become more present than, say, if I were to work on a computer typing. You become more present when you're writing, I think. At least for me.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
and I think there's something about writing things down that it makes it manifest,
Yes.
right? Like, because you're taking a thought form, which is energy, and you're actually putting it in
Mhm.
concrete terms,
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
love this idea of, like, then you can see it. It's
Yes.
like and it works, different parts of your brain when you write things down. And so I think that's good, just like doing those mind dumps. And maybe, like, for people who are just starting on this adventure, let's say, of really turning their soulful purpose into a career path, into a business, what is some advice that you could give them?
I would say to try part-time, I guess you would say. Don't be so afraid. Step out there, get out there. Whatever idea you have, maybe while you're working your regular job, do the thing that you love, even if it's for free, as a volunteer, or to have a beta group. Say if you want to be a health coach, take a friend and say, okay, we're going to work with you. Can you be my first quote unquote guinea pig? But whatever it is that you really enjoy, and see, instead of quit dreaming about it, do it during this
Yeah.
particular time, and just do it. Because you know I mean, one of the things that I remember that I said I really wanted to do, let's see how it could work. I said I want to write for a magazine. And I just always had that dream. I want to write for a magazine, I want to write for a magazine. And the type of magazine I wanted to write for was a Gospel Today magazine. So one day I said, you know what, I'm gonna quit dreaming about this and just call her. And I called her and told her my pitch, what I wanted to write. And she said, sure, send me some samples, send her some samples. And the next thing I know, not only did I write for her, but she became my mentor, which is eventually why to this day, 10 years later, I have my own magazine, because she mentored me. So getting it out of your head about what I wish I could do, what I want to do, what I dream about, just do it, start. Don't worry about the money at the very beginning, but just do it, because I think one step will lead to another step. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to write a business plan first. Just start, because the main thing with
Yes.
any business is having a customer. So you have to just have them, sample you. Just like when we go to like Costco or whatever, it's like, okay, well, just sample it, and then eventually people will buy. So I think
Hmm.
once you do that, you'll have confidence to say, I really did get results for them, or they did love my product, or they did, you'll have that confidence that like now I can move into the next step, and I say
Beautiful.
behind the scenes, building a website and building your social media footprint, those things come later. That's part of the branding. But the first part is getting a customer, getting a
Hmm.
customer. Because I had a
Hmm.
customer before I really had anything. I just told somebody what I wanted to do, and basically they trusted me and said, okay, show me what you can do. So
Yeah, and I
customers
love
first.
that because I do think that when we claim our purpose like that, the universe brings us stepping stones, right? They bring us our first people, they bring us like opportunities,
Yes.
right? And so I think some of it is like you have to first say yes to your dream in
Yeah.
order for God, creator, to bring you the opportunity. And the other thing is, if you're still like in this, well, I don't know if you're still in fear, it's hard to see when the opportunity comes and to say yes to it, right?
Exactly.
Like, imagine that pivotal moment if you hadn't told this gentleman, right, what you were up to, even
Mm-hmm.
though you weren't even up to it yet, really,
No,
right?
I wasn't.
But you were just like, this is it. This is the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Seize the moment, right?
That is it. That is so true. And having clarity. Clarity is key. That's why journaling helps. Having clarity is key, journaling it, and then actually it will manifest. It will manifest because if you are clear on it, like I really do believe that God will bring it to you. So many times
Yes.
I would write down like I'd really like to work for Bishop Jakes, or I really like to work for this person. I really like to do this. And eventually over time those opportunities came. Now you've got to be prepared, but those opportunities came by just having the clarity of it. This is what I
Mhm.
want to do, and not being afraid, being courageous with your dreams.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Pam. This has been
Thank
just such
you.
an enlightening conversation.
Good.
And
Thank you.
just thank you for letting us into your journey of how you really turned, your skills and your aptitudes into a business and a career path that is meaningful to you so that you wake up every morning and you're excited about your day.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's a God-given right. Everybody should have that.
yes, and
Yeah.
I would love to just take a couple moments and just kind of breathe this in and send it out as a prayer. Does that?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. And may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom of all beings everywhere. And thank you so much, Pam. Thank you for this
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you for having me. This was a joy.